out here. I want to talk about the expectations that we have seen sort to, build or disintegrate through just 2 weeks of football. Your 2-0 club, by the way, in the AFC, it's only two teams. The Dolphins and the Ravens are the 2-0 teams in the AFC. Now, the Browns can join them tonight. The Browns play one of the two Monday Night Football games. The 2-0 club in the NFC has 6 teams in it. The Niners, the Falcons, the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, and Bucks being the surprise entrance to the 2-0 club. And the Saints play tonight. The Saints could be 2-0. But I want to talk about, after 2 weeks, we got reputations taking beatings, Larry, and we got to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow's calf is barking at him. It's the same calf that he hurt in the preseason. The Bengals have been outscored 57-21 so far this year. And even worse, attached to their 0-2 record is they're 0-2 in their own division through 2 games. So the Bengals couldn't have crafted a worse start in the world than what they are underway with through 2 weeks here of the NFL season.
What's happened to Jamar Chase? I mean, Jamar Chase had 5 catches yesterday for 31 yards. I mean, he's supposed to be the best receiver in the game. And so far we haven't seen it. They also had 0 sacks of Lamar yesterday, and they only got 1 hit on the quarterback. So, I mean, that's part of it. It doesn't seem like their defense is doing a whole lot for them. Burrow signed a big contract. Joe Mixon's a little long in the tooth. It's a one running back type team. They got a bunch of receivers. They added Irv Smith as the tight end. They have Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. But, yeah, I mean, Cincinnati is 0-2 and 0-1 at home, and the Ravens are 2-0. To me, the team that I think you got to watch for is the team that's going tonight. I think the Browns. I think the Browns are a much, much better football team than people are giving them credit for. I think they win tonight against the Steelers, in Pittsburgh. Deshaun Watson did not necessarily play well in their 24-3 win against the Bengals. But if you look at the Browns, the Browns have Nick Chubb running the ball. Nick Chubb is a tremendous back. I mean, he went for 6 yards a pop against Cincinnati in Week 1. They've added Elijah Moore, who's a really underrated receiver, to go with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Marquise. Yeah, they've got some weapons. But really, what I love about the Browns is the line of scrimmage. They got a good O-line. They got a good D-line. Now, they lost Conklin for the year, but Dawan Jones steps in at right tackle, and you've got Wilfs at left tackle. That's their offensive line. On the defensive line, you got Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith off the edges. You got Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsome on the back end. You got some nice players. J.O.K., Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I like the Browns. I think the Browns are a sleeper team. Now, it's all going to be predicated on what kind of player is Deshaun. And he was, in Week 1, he was 16 of 29 for 154, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was sacked 3 times. If he gets it going, I really like the Browns. When you're good on the line of scrimmage, you're good.
I'm not going to hold this over you or try to embarrass you with it, Larry, but I didn't hear you stumping, like screaming it from the mountaintops that you believe the Chargers were going to win a Super Bowl, but you did pick the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl. They're 0-2. And since 1990, 31 of 270 teams that have begun a season 0-2 have qualified for the postseason. Not very often, just 31 of the 270 teams. Now it's a 17-game schedule, so the math is going to change a little bit on it, but the Chargers are operating from a bad spot. There is a lack of belief in the head coach that I believe is becoming a reality, and Chargers are not off to a good start. They're a talented team who can't put it together through 4 quarters like ever.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday they went without Eckler, who's their number 1 back. They were leaning on Joshua Kelly. They only averaged 2.9 yards a carry.
Joshua Kelly's pretty good, too.
Yeah, he's good. He started at UC Davis. He played at UCLA. Joshua Kelly's not bad. But, Herbert is one of these guys that he looks like, the quarterback out of Central Casting, and he doesn't win games. I mean, he's basically 500. He had 2 touchdowns yesterday, no picks. It wasn't like it was all his fault or anything. But they just don't win games. I mean, they don't win games. They've got, good weapons. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett's a good tight end. On defense, they've got some of the best individual talents in the sport. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel, Khalil Mack. They did have 5 sacks yesterday against Tennessee, so that was good to see. They didn't hardly do anything pass rush wise in week 1. The Chargers have lost to 2 football games here, but I still and it was a wild stab taking the Chargers out of the AFC because the Chiefs were the chalk. I think the Bills and the Bengals were probably the second pick, third pick.
Right.
But
Jets became a cause celeb with Aaron Rodgers, and that's where I kind of wanted. The Jets are 1-1. Zach Wilson, he got the confidence. He had his team supporting him yesterday after a 3 interception afternoon. They're not trying to blame their lost season on him, but Zach Wilson is like, they can't keep running him out there with 3 interception games week in, week out. They're going to have to do something other than just play him the rest of the year. Robert Saleh owes it to that team to improve a little bit. Basically, Zach Wilson's entire day was a 68-yard touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, which Garrett Wilson had 55 yards after the catch to take that to the house. The rest of it was a bad day, and the team can rally around Zach Wilson all at once, but the Jets are an unmitigated disaster based on the fact Aaron Rodgers has gotten hurt, and they're going to be all over our primetime schedule until they can be flexed out of it. And
that their OC sucks. Come on. Hackett, is a terrible offensive coordinator. You saw what he did last year in Denver. He was terrible. They have Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, and they ran yesterday 16 times.
Yeah.
In a game that was 8? They were down 18-10 at halftime. So what?
Right, that's still in striking distance.
You're still in strike. Your leading rusher should not be Zach Wilson. Though I don't know if you saw Breece Hall. Breece Hall came out and said the reason we lost is I only got 4 carries.
There you
go. He
had
4 carries for 9 yards. Breece Hall. He's tremendous. Dalvin Cook had 4 carries for 7 yards. It's. I just kind of wonder about the offensive coordinator there. I wonder about the quality of their offensive line. They couldn't defend CeeDee Lamb to save their life, by the way. CeeDee Lamb, 11 for 143. Garrett Wilson's a tremendous young wide receiver, but the Jets have got to win with their defense. And their defense had 1 sack all day of Dak Prescott. I mean, when Prescott's dropping back to pass 38 times and you can only sack him 1 time, that's going to be a long day at the office. And sure enough, it was.
The Raiders fell on their face in Buffalo, Larry, Jimmy G. This should sound very familiar to 49er fans. Jimmy Garoppolo, 185 yards after a touchdown on his opening drive to give you hope that he would later rob you of with his 2 interceptions. It was the classic Jimmy G game where this time he doesn't win it. The Raiders have Devontae Adams now in concussion protocol, which, look, football's a violent sport. You can't blame anybody getting hurt at any time. But you want to take players off the field in non-leverage moments, and Devontae Adams should not have been on the field. The play where he got concussed, Larry, happened down 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter after a decision to punt had been made earlier on 4th and 2. So you're conceding the game. You're no longer playing aggressive, but you're going to have Devontae Adams out there. Shame on Josh McDaniels. That's like the worst beating he's ever caught as a head coach. Most lopsided score. The Bills righted the ship. The Chiefs righted the ship yesterday to get to 1-1. No real surprises there. A huge surprise is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield are 2-0. They might be a soft 2-0, but nobody had them 2-0 on their bingo card.
No. I mean, I'm not a huge Baker fan, but he's learned a little bit along the way. I mean, there's no question he's definitely a better player. And to me, I don't know if that's really about the Bucks or if it's really just about the Bears. Did you see the terrible interception that Fields threw on his own goal line? I mean, that was just the most.
Dude.
How do you run 4-4 flat and get sacked 6 times? By the way.
First of all, how do you have the greatest uniforms maybe in football history and come out in those orange Sherberts yesterday? Oh my God. It just,
but you can't even say that Fields doesn't have receivers. He's got DJ Moore. He's got Chase Claypool. He's got some receivers, Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet. It's not like he's got nothing. Valus Jones. I mean, they've got some decent receivers. They just Darnell Mooney. I mean, they just don't. They're just not good. I mean, Fields looks like every game. It just looks like it's his first game. It's just it's really bizarre.
That's how it's always been for the Bears at quarterback. I mean, it's
Tampa had 6 sacks and 10 hits on Fields. 10,
just terrible.
10 hits. How does Vita Vea, who's literally a Coke machine with shoes? I mean, the guy's 6'4", 355, and he got 3 hits on Justin Fields, who runs a 4.4 flat. How? How did that even happen?
Larry, how are the Broncos 0-2? Russell Wilson, they've lost 2 games by 3 total points, but Sean Payton, he talked a big game about righting the ship. It is yet to be righted, and I'm just going to tell you that Wilson's contract in Denver, it's got all the earmarkings of maybe easily pointed to as one of the worst quarterbacks of all time. He's still got 161 in guarantees and no easy way out before the 2025 season. And even in that year, it'll still count 31 million against the cap. It's a disaster. It's an unmitigated disaster in Buffalo, and Sean Payton showing up
in Denver.
In Denver. And Sean Payton just showing up has not changed the prospects of that team. Not yet anyways.
Well, once again, another quarterback that's his leading rusher. Russell Wilson was their leading rusher. Not only is Denver 0-2, they're 0-2 at home.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, the rookie receiver from Oklahoma, Marvin Mims, is real. He's real. But, I mean, this is another team. Where's Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy was a first-round pick. He's not doing anything.
Is he hurt? I think he's hurt, though.
No, he played.
He
played. He played. He had 3 catches for 25 yards. They threw him the ball 5 or 6 times. He only caught 3 of them. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Denver. And you know what? I'm kind of rooting against Denver because Sean Payton came in and at the presser, he ripped the hell out of Hackett. Now, I don't think much of Hackett. I just told you how I feel about Hackett. But still, that's bad form, man.
It is.
You're going to go on the first presser and you're going to tear down the former coach. Just coach.
Right.
Just coach. If you're that good, we'll all see the comparisons. Instead, he had to talk a big game. And to me, when you talk a big game, you probably can't back it up.